Today I'm making a Cirque de Noir. I'm starting with a shot of tequila, lime juice, half of a lemon. I'm adding in some grenadine and some black food coloring. I'm then going to shake this really well, make sure everything's mixed together. I'm going to pour it over my ice. I'm going to top it with some soda water. And then finally, I'm going to add some circus inspired garnishments. So now your drink is ready. Let's go ahead and start dishing on this book.
You guys, this is gonna be one of the hardest reviews that I do. One, because I went and I had some drinks with some acquaintances. We started off with one margarita, and then next thing I knew, they were on their third, and I was still on my first, and I was like, well, let me catch up. Somehow we decided to get a picture, and now we're here. Okay, so I'm fucking toast. Two, I would say for 95% of this book, I didn't know what the hell was going on. I was like, what? Huh? Who? Literally. There was probably an hour left in the book. And I was like, oh, I think I know what's going on now. And it ended. And then I was like, okay, wait, what? So I had to start the book all over again. This is very similar to The Wizard of Oz, except I actually like this book. Today, I came up with a concoction. Since I was drinking margaritas, I decided to stick with the tequila. So I have a tequila drink. It's black, and I have these peach rings. Why? Because today we're talking about the Night Circus, and for whatever reason, when I think of the circus, I think of peach rings and popcorn and animals. I don't know why. But this is gonna be called Circus Noir. Get into it. Not bad. It's just tequila and lime and some black food coloring. Anyways, we need to get into the story. Bear with me. I'm gonna try my best. I'm gonna try my darnest to get through this very coherently. But I want to say, I think this book is confusing on purpose. I read some reviews, as I do, and a lot of people were like, I didn't really know what was going on. So a lot of people seem to have read it twice. So I don't feel bad. I know that I like to space out sometimes, but I got to a point, I was like, this is more than spacing out. This is just confusing. Now, I will say I like this book. I did not love it, but once I figured out what was going on and I re-listened to it, I was like, oh, okay. This is interesting. I would love to see this as a movie or a limited series. So this book has 100 fucking characters. POVs all over the place. I am like, who is even the main character? Because what the fuck is going on? So you have Celia and Marco. I'm gonna say that those two are the main characters. And then your supporting characters is a whole fucking circus of people. But your main supporting characters, I'm gonna say are Isabella, our boy Bailey, and your twins, Widget and Poppet. Everybody else, I'm sure they have a purpose, but it was just so many people. And I don't even know how to tell this story coherently or in a logical way that follows time, because I think even in the story they're jumping around. So there are some parts I'm like, okay, this happened, but wait, this happened, but didn't that happen 2 years ago? So why are we talking? Oh, y'all, this is gonna be rough, but I'm gonna do my best. Like I said, bear with me. Okay, so we have Celia. Celia is the daughter of Hector. Hector is a magician. So Hector and, oh God, Alejandro. There's another guy. I think his name's Alejandro. So Hector and Alejandro, they have this game going on. And honestly, I do not for the life of me understand the purpose of the game. Even in the book, they were like, well, is this the purpose of the game? Well, I think the purpose of the game is this. And I don't think anyone ever just like, yes, this is the purpose of the game. It's just like they started a game like forever ago because they might be immortal. I don't even know. And they find people to play the game. And to win the game, you have to survive. It's 2 people. The last person left standing is the winner. So that's the game. And it's magic. And it's stupid magic, according to me. I'm just like, why is this a thing? So it's 2 people trying to out magic the other person, and then whoever gets tired or dies or whatever, they're the loser. That's it. That's what I know. So anyways, we have Celia, who is the daughter of Hector. Hector is a magician of sorts, an illusionist, whatever. So Hector doesn't know that he has a daughter. Celia shows up. She has like a suicide note attached to her because apparently her mom committed suicide, and he finds out that she has like the same kind of inclination to magic that he does. So he starts teaching her how to like control her magic or whatever. And then at some point he like calls this guy and he's like, hey, it's time to start this game again. I have a student. And so they make the deal to start the game. But Antonio, the other guy, I'm calling him gray suit guy because they refer to him as the guy in the gray suit. I think his name's Antonio, but I don't know. The guy in the gray suit like has to find another player so that they can play. And then the game is like wherever you want it to be, apparently. So for whatever reason in this book, the game is the circus. No, the venue is the circus. The game is the magic. Whatever. Anyways, Antonio, or gray suit guy, he finds a kid in... He finds a kid in an orphanage and then he starts training him. But he like leaves him alone all the time and he just makes him read books. While Celia, on the other hand, is like practicing magic, but like her dad's kind of cruel because like I think a bird died or something, and she was like, save him, and he was like, no, you can save him, but she couldn't. And then she realized that her dad could save him. Anyways, whatever. We're moving forward. The circus starts. Celia is doing her magic and stuff. I don't know, just illusionist bullshit, right? Marco is there too, because he's the other player, right? They're grown at this point. Like maybe in their 20s, I don't know. They're grown. Marco's working at the circus under another guy. I think his name's Chandrish. And he's like his assistant. Anyway, Celia like tries out for the circus. She makes it, obviously, because our bitch knows magic, right? And I think then Marco knows like, oh, this is my opponent. But Celia doesn't know. Anyways, I'm going to try to like talk about Celia and Marco's story, and then I can talk about these other stories. I'm really trying not to make this like 5 hours long because it's a lot. So anyways, so the way that they're doing their magic in the circus is they add new tents, and in each tent is some like magical thing. Like I think there's like a wishing tree, there's like an ice sculpture, there's all kinds of like fantastical bullshit, right? And they're going about their way. Like they know that they're playing the game, they just don't know who each other is. But Marco knows who Celia is. Celia doesn't know who Marco is until like way later. I think they've been playing this game for like 10-15 years at this point. Finally, like he lets her know that he's her opponent, but not like really. Like there's some like bar and they have these umbrellas, and hers like a regular one, but his is like a magical one, and she accidentally takes his, and she's like, how am I not getting wet? And then he like runs out and say, hey, like you have my umbrella. And she's like, oh. And so he's like, hey, I want to talk to you. And she's like, no. And then she just like disappears. Then they like keep meeting at like random places. Like he keeps coming to see her. They're like at a dinner party. And I think it's like at this dinner party that they realize like they're attracted to each other. And apparently Marco has like a fake face, and like he shows like his real face to her, and she's like, I like your face. And he's like, I like your face. And anyways, so they end up falling in love,
but they weren't supposed to. And her dad's upset and he doesn't like it. But like she is also trying to figure out like, how do I fucking quit this game? Because like I'm in love with this guy, he's in love with me, like I don't want to be his opponent, I want to be with him. So she's trying to figure this whole thing out. But come to find out, her dad is like, yeah, you can't leave the game unless you die. And she's like, what? And he's like, yeah, like the winner is the survivor. So she's still trying to like figure out like, is there a way? Is there not a way? And then I think eventually she comes to the conclusion that she's just gonna like kill herself and like let him win just so she doesn't have to play the game anymore. And apparently like it takes a lot of energy to do magic, which I think so. Like I'm thinking of magic as like working out, like being a bodybuilder or something. And I think like at some point you just get fucking tired of it, right? You're just like, all right, I'm done. Fuck this, right? So she wants to like kill herself, but you know what happens right then. Like I think she was planning on killing herself, but somebody like stopped her. So there's another person in the circus, Tsukio, I think. We come to find out Tsukio was the previous player and the winner, and she's part of the circus, but she's just part of the circus because she doesn't have anything else to do. But she said she won the game like 80 years ago, but she's a contortionist. I'm just like, girl, does time not exist in this world? What? I think Tsukio like finds out a way to like not let Celia kill herself. Actually, she wants to like try to kill Marco or like take his soul or like split him. She's trying to do something so that like it appears that he is dead so that they can quit the game. Also, if they don't quit the game, at some point, Celia won't be able to keep up with the game. She's basically holding the circus together with her powers. And if she doesn't hold the circus together, the circus will like collapse and everyone, I guess, will die or disappear. I don't know. So Tsukio was like, okay, Celia, I don't want you to die. I want this motherfucker to die. So like, I'm gonna kill him. But Celia asked for like a year to Celia asked for time to figure it out. Tsukio was like, okay, yeah, sure, like you can. And then after a year, she was like, you didn't do shit, so I'm just gonna take over. And so when Tsukio, I probably say her name so wrong, when she like tries to rip Marco from this reality and put him into like a fire, Celia finds out and she like runs to him and he catches her, and then they both disappear into this like, I don't know, purgatory or whatever. So they're here in this purgatory and like the circus just is falling apart. Okay, so that's where I had to stop there. So now let's go back to, this is when the circus has been going on. There's this kid, Bailey. I call him our guy Bailey because Bailey's a real one. Bailey is like playing with his sister, truth or dare or some bullshit. She dares him to go to the circus and it's during the day. So it's the night circus, so you're not supposed to go during the day. So he goes during the day and he meets one of the twins. So remember, there's Widget and Poppet. So he meets Poppet, the girl twin. She gives him like her glove because he needs proof that he was there. And then I think like the circus just disappears. And then like we go like years in the future. And then the circus comes back and Bailey is looking for Poppet because it was just like the only person he ever met. So like he meets her and her brother and they're just hanging out in the circus. They're just like a couple of cool kids. They're just having a great time. And they're like doing all the weird stuff in the circus. And I don't know what happens first. Either Papa starts acting weird because she sees something in the stars because she's like psychic and her brother's also some kind of psychic. And anyway, she's like starts acting weird. But then at one point, I think maybe they left Bailey alone in the circus. So he was just exploring around. And so Bailey went into this tent. I did not catch this on my first listen, so I'm glad I listened to it again. But Bailey goes around to this tent and it's like full of these bottles. And he's like opening them up and he's like smelling them. And he's like, this smells like, you know, like a cool summer day
or a cool summer night and like a train wreck and like a house is on fire and like popcorn. Like the smells are wild. And so as he's smelling these things, if you were paying attention, which I was not the first time, you're realizing he's smelling future events and past events. Past and future events, right? Because he smells something that's like very weird. I think he smells like something that's like burning, destruction, like people are, having a meltdown and like a train going away. And he's like, what is this? So then I think we fast forward again some more years. Maybe not, I don't know, I could be making it up. But anyway, we fast forward again to some point in time, and Bailey is like working on a farm. So Bailey lives on a farm. Bailey has two choices. He could go to Harvard, or he can like continue with the family farm. His grandma wants him to go to Harvard, but his dad wants him to continue with the family farm. And Bailey was like, I could do both. And also while I'm listening to this, I'm like, Bailey, you can do both. Because like the farm ain't going nowhere. You can go spend 4 years in school, get a degree, and come back and run your farm. Bailey doesn't seem like he wants to do either of those, but I think like if he had to choose, he would choose Harvard. Like he just not seem like he's fucking with the farm. Anyway, so he's working on the farm. Papa comes over there and she's like, Bailey, like you have to come to the circus tonight. Like you have to come with us and you have to leave. And Bailey's like, I'm just a kid. Like, girl, what are you talking about? And she's like, I just know that you need to like come with me. You need to be with me. And then she's like, be with us. And I was like, oh, Papa, you got a crush, girl. That's cute. I love that for you. But he was like, what? She's like, well, are you even happy here? Way to read him, girl. Okay. He was like, no, but I just can't leave. And she was like, well, if you don't come with us, like you'll never see me again. And he's like, what? Like, what kind of threat is that? She's like, no. Like something bad's gonna happen, and like we won't exist anymore, essentially. So then Bailey has to decide if he wants to go to the circus with her. And Bailey's like packing all his shit and unpacking his shit and packing his shit back. Bailey's indecisive as fuck, but I get it. Like, Bailey, you're like, what, 17, 18, 19? You still a baby. You know, this is a lot. You leave home, maybe never see your family again, to like chase after this girl that you probably have a crush on because you're a guy and she's a girl, and why not? It's a lot. Anyway, so all these things like keep happening, and Bailey like finally towards the end, he's like, okay, I need to go. But before he leaves, his sister, is her name Caroline or Catherine? I don't give a fuck what her name is. She's a bitch. Like, we didn't need her in the story. But anyway, she was just like, what are you doing? And he's like, I'm leaving. And she's like, no, you're not. Like, stop being a kid. And he's like, I'm not being a kid. I'm being an adult. Like, I'm making a decision. And basically, he was like, bitch, I'm out of here. I hope you marry well, because you ain't worth shit. And she's really not. Anyways, he like goes to the circus, but the circus is gone. He waited all that time, the circus left. He like meets these people who follow the circus. I forget, they have a name, but they wear red scarves. And he's like, I'm trying to get to the circus. And they're like, yeah, it left already, bruh. So, and basically they're like, you can come with us. So he like goes with these strangers, and apparently he lives with them, and he becomes part of the crew. And eventually like he finds the circus again. Okay, so that's that story. Okay, the last story is, it should be short because it's a lot going on and I'm not going to get into it. So you have the guy Chandrish that I mentioned earlier. I feel like he's like the circus engineer, or maybe he's like the ringleader, whatever you call the person who talks in the circus. I don't know. That person, the guy with the hat. Maybe he's that. I don't know. I get confused because there's Chandrish and there's Ferris. There are so many people. Okay, so you got the stories of the side characters. The side characters, some of them know what's going on. Some of them don't know what's going on. Some of them are like me. They're like confused as fuck. Like something is happening here, but I don't really know what. With Hector, which is Celia's dad, he like faked his death so that he could be like kind of in between, like in an in-between world. Like his soul is like kind of attached to things, something like that. I don't know. But anyway, so like he's just going different places, like listening in, and then seems like he's inserting himself sometimes. So you have that going on. Then you have the people who like work for the circus. Like they're not in the circus, but they do stuff for the circus. Like you have these twins, I think that make the outfits, the costumes. Anyways, one of them dies because she is just like, something doesn't feel right, something's going on. And she goes and asks someone, and they're like, I can't tell you what's going on, but you can talk to the gray suit guy. So she goes and talks to the gray suit guy, and baby girl ends up getting hit by a train. And I'm just like, what? Because it was crazy. Because like she asked the guy a question, and he's just like, I don't know what you're talking about, essentially. And he's like, you should focus on something else. And don't you have a train to catch? And he takes her to the train station. And she's like, how did I get here? But then she sees him, and he's like talking to another guy who looks like him, but is not him. And she's like so interested in like what they're talking about. She like starts walking. She gets hit by a train. So then her sister goes to Celia and is like, hey, I think something fucked up happened. Like, why is my sister dead? Oh, by the way, since the circus started, no one has gotten sick. Like, no one has gotten injured. No one has like fallen, broken anything. No one has missed a day of work. Everything has been like too good. And I think like no kids have been born aside from the twins. So it's just like, nobody's aging, nothing. So like some of them are just like, something's weird here. Some of them are just completely oblivious, and some of them know what's going on, but they're smart enough to keep their mouth shut. So anyways, the other twin goes to Celia. She's like, hey, isn't it weird that like basically no one has died, but yet my sister has? Like, what the fuck's going on? And then I think she like tells Celia like, this is what I know. And Celia's like, yeah, basically some weird shit's going on. That's all you need to know. And I guess the twin was like, okay, cool. Like, I'm not trying to die. I don't know. So there's that story. Then there's like Isabella. She's apparently in love with Marco. Marco, I won't say he used her, but he was not 100% upfront about his feelings, and he allowed her to think things that weren't true by not correcting her. So you can take that for what it is, right? Anyway, so like Isabel has magical powers too. Her stuff actually kind of confused me. Like, she was able to keep the circus afloat and keep Marco and Celia apart so that they don't like combust. But I don't understand why. I think she was doing it because she was in love with Marco, but I don't understand why she needed to do it. But anyway, so like I think she had like his hat, a card, and some string or something. Did some kind of magical shit. So it basically felt like because of Isabel, the circus was functioning the way that it was supposed to without it imploding. But we don't get that till like the last 5 minutes of the story. And this becomes important because this whole time Isabel was in love with Marco. So she thought like, hey, if I'm doing this stuff, if I'm being useful, if I'm showing him my worth, like he'll be in love with me, he'll make me his. And you know, lesson for us all, ladies. Let's put in what we're given. Let's put out what we're given. Let's not do more work than what is required. Let's not show all our cards if someone isn't reciprocating. So at some point, Marco tells Isabel, he's like, so I'm in love with Celia, and she is fucking pissed, which I don't blame her because she's been like his ride or die for years. And it wasn't 100% clear to me like if they had like a sexual relationship at some point or not, or if Isabel just had feelings for him and allowed those feelings to cloud her judgment, and she just saw things through rose-colored glasses. Which, girl, we've all been there, because the way they describe Marco, like he just seems like a good-looking man. So like I get it, right? Anyway, so he tells her like, hey, I'm not in love with you, I'm in love with her. And she freaks out. She is out for revenge. And she takes out, you know, the hat, the card, the string, and she just undoes it, right? And so when she does that, she's just like, oh, nothing happened. Like, maybe I'm not powerful. But then, like, a second later, somebody's screaming. And then why is that person screaming? Because somebody got killed. They said Friedrich was killed. I'm like, who the fuck is Friedrich? Friedrich is one of the people who follows the circus, and I think he builds clocks, and he was friends with Celia. I don't know. But how did Friedrich die? He got stabbed. How did he get stabbed? Chandris stabbed him. Why did Chandris stab him? Because Chandris was trying to stab the guy in the gray suit, but the guy in the gray suit moved over this much so that Friedrich could get stabbed. I'm laughing because I'm just like, there's so much going on. Anyways, I thought it was a mistake. I thought it was just an accident. But when I re-listened to it, I was like, I think Alexander. I think it's Alexander. I don't know, whatever. Guy in the gray suit. I was like, I think he put it on purpose. But like, can he even die? So like, why does it matter if he gets stabbed? I don't know. And Chandris stabbed the other guy because Hector told... Yes, I think Hector told Chandris to go to the circus. Or Hector led Chandris to the circus. And apparently Chandris has never been to the circus. Like, maybe that's part of the deal. The only reason Gray Suit Guy was at the circus was because Celia invited him so that they could end the match and they could be done so she could be with Marco. Okay. Friedrich dies. Celia's upset. She is fucking lost her shit. Guy in the gray suit is like, see, she's not strong. Look at how she's crying over him, and also she's in love with Marco. Like, you chose a bad student. Hector's like, fuck all that. I don't give a fuck. Like, she's gonna win. Like, don't worry about her. But then Hector is the one who tells her, hers and Celia, that like there's no leaving this game. Either you win or you die. So then we get to where, yo, this is so much. Then we get to where Marco and Celia are in the middle place, right? And remember, there's Bailey. Bailey has like found the circus again. Bailey is taken to Marco, and Marco is like, hey, well, Marco and Celia, they're like, hey, we need your help, but we'll give you a choice. You don't have to do this, but it would be great if you did. And basically they told him, like, we have been playing this game. We can't quit unless one of us dies. And we're like in this in-between place and we want to be together. But if you take over the circus, like we can go away. So Chandris is the one who was like running the circus, like officially, like I guess like for tax purposes. But they got Chandris to sign over the circus to Bailey, who's just a kid. So now Bailey is now the ringleader or MC or whatever the person is who like runs the circus. So he agrees. He takes over the circus. And I guess Marco and Celia live happily ever after. I don't know. I didn't quite catch what happened with them. It sounded like they did. Good for them and good riddance. But anyways, this whole story takes place in like the 1890s and the 1900s. And goes back and forth and back and forth. But at the end, they were talking about a website and it was Bailey's name. So I'm like, huh? When were websites a thing? In the 90s? So from the early 1900s, I'm talking like 1902, bitch. Bailey was 17, 18, 19, somewhere around there. He was a teenager, I'm pretty sure. So he was a teenager in 1902. We got websites in 1997. I don't know. 98. I literally don't know. What was it? Windows 96? Okay, maybe we have websites like in 95. So earliest is probably like 95. Latest I feel like was 2014. I could just be making that up. It didn't, when they were talking about the website, it didn't feel like it was present day. It felt like it was earlier in the late 1900s. So I was like, fuck. So Bailey is still alive. But I guess that makes sense because if you're part of the circus, apparently you don't age. So I guess good for him. Anyways, that's the story. I still give it 4 circus tents out of 5 because to confuse somebody for a whole story, you gotta be really good at what you do. So, cheers to Erin. Oh. I'm getting better at this. Yeah, Erin, girl, you got me with that one. I don't know if I can read any more of your books because I don't like being confused like that because it takes a lot of brain power to be confused. Honestly, I'm saying this is how stupid people feel because I just, this is rough. Someone was like, what? Huh? Who? I still don't understand the purpose of the game. I still don't know who the fuck Hector and Antonio or Antoine or Anthony, whatever Grace you got, like, who are y'all? Are y'all gods? Are y'all siblings? Because there were a couple of times where it mentioned that, like, y'all kind of looked alike. Why are y'all playing the game? Like, what's the purpose? Why does the other person have to die? Like, why are these the rules? I don't know. And I don't want to know, honestly. I think I just want to be done. I think I want to be done and never think about this book again. That's it. So, yeah, thanks for being with me on this journey. And I apologize if it doesn't make sense. It's not just because I'm drunk. It is because this was a harder one. Because why do I need 100 POVs? I don't, Erin. But also, I don't hate it. So you did something good. You left me confused, even talking about it, listening to it 2 times, talking about it, thinking about it. I'm still like, huh? That's it for this episode of Boozy Books. Join us next time where we'll talk about books worth sipping over.